In the studio with me this morning from the County Board, we do have Sean Cavanaugh, Building and Grounds Chair. Good morning.
Good morning, Vanessa. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you also brought with you Lyman and Schar, District 3 on the Finance Committee. Welcome, Lyman.
Morning, Vanessa.
How are you, sir?
I think I'm all right.
Good. Yesterday's meeting, last one of the year.
Unless there's a special meeting, yes.
Yeah, there was quite a bit going on.
There was. We always seemed to, it was a thin packet, but there was a lot contained within.
Yes.
We had a public comment. Someone spoke in regards to one of the local political parties and some things involving their interests. And then we went straight to presentations from the floor. We had some pretty interesting ones, I thought.
On the land bank?
Yeah, the land bank. That's something that was new. There's several counties. Pardon me, I have a frog in my throat. Several counties want to get together and form an intergovernmental agreement that will allow this organization, if you will, or the counties within the agreement, to deal with potentially derelict properties and so forth, and to, from my understanding, it would be possible to seize these properties and use incentives and grants as being part of this organization to rehab said facilities or homes, commercial, industrial. And it was interesting. There were a lot of questions because we weren't sure just what that meant and the cost of Warren County being involved. They involve county governments, city governments, and so forth. And the pricing would be to $3 to $5 per individual population within the county, but not within the city. That could be up to $30,000. And I think we need more information about the land bank, about just exactly how properties would be acquired. I think there's some people with concerns about seizing property. If there's a barn falling down and I bought it thinking in 2 years I want to do something with it, and all of a sudden someone came by and said this is a problem. So we got some questions about things like that and just how many properties they feel in Warren County would fit into this land bank. And if it's something that we want to invest in financially, because it could be something we could deal with on our own and keep that money within Warren County. So it was kind of a learning process there.
Yeah, it's from the standpoint of seizing property or using eminent domain, we'd have to check. I'm not sure we have the ordinances.
No, she said
existing for that we'd have to consider doing that.
Sure.
And there'll be some discussion on that because the property owner, has certain rights, but then he also should have certain responsibilities as well.
It's funny. Yesterday we were talking about this with the Mayor Rod Davies and Ken Helms, the communications director from the city. There's a property that they're going to demolition that was just left aside for many, many years. And a lot of times he said people walk away, that someone may pass away, there's a mortgage on it, they just don't want anything to do with it.
It's abandoned. And we would need to see better parameters on what would just qualify as something that would be seized. Is it 2 years, or is it a gray, fuzzy definition? Is it 5 years, 10 years? Is it back taxes? What is it? Because when you hear the word seizing property, that's always a concern to anybody, I think. But it's in the introductory stage for Warren County government. We are going to hear more, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a meeting in January.
Mm-hmm. January 23rd, in Macomb, where we could attend. There's two meetings. They're the exact same thing, so it's not like we can go one or the other. We were told if we want to be part of the process and part of the document of the agreement, we should be there. Otherwise, if we waited and joined later, we would be bound to the rules that someone else made.
Where's this company out of again?
She was out of, that escapes me at the current time, but it wasn't too close because she works for the Center for Community Progress, I believe. And
Prairie Hills land
Yes, that's
project. But
And so I'm not quite sure where this individual's from. I don't think it matters much. What matters is the details that they need to pass on to us. And
Well,
that's
I'm asking in case they already have these projects elsewhere, then you guys might be able to call other county boards and check with them and say, how has this been beneficial and what would you do different?
And we did ask about that she provide other communities that are involved in this, because we might know someone in ABC County or Hooterville or Mayberry or wherever that could provide us more information, because information is king currency when it comes to government, local or national, because the more information you have, the better informed decision you can make.
Yeah, the tough part would be seizing it before it's condemned. You see what I'm saying? Because to rehab it, you may not be able to if the roof has caved in, if critters are living inside it, which is the case of some of these houses getting demolished. But then you think of places like the old boat factory by the Y. That's just property just sitting there. Don't know if it's for sale. Not really sure the aspect of it, but what could you do with that land?
But as long as the property tax is being paid,
that's right.
Then it's
in the clear.
Yeah,
absolutely,
rightfully so. So,
and she, it was Dr. Livingston, I presume, was her name, and she said, "Well, it's also safer." And I said, "How so?" "Well, if someone were to be hurt, one of those structures," I said, "by trespassing there. So if they trespassed and got hurt, it's our problem." So she goes, "Well, there was one building that collapsed and fell onto a road or something." I said, "Well, that's a different story, but in Warren County, we're not talking, our angle from the county board, we wouldn't be talking about the buildings here downtown deteriorating or whatnot. We're talking someone out in the country where, in order to be hurt, you would have to trespass, and that's illegal." So, but there's a lot of questions out there.
Okay.
I think,
and we're still just in the gathering information stage. We're not ready to
baby steps right here. We have no inclination of going one way or another, but we are very inclined to want more information, gobs of it. And then she's going to provide that, I think, to Mr. Pearson, who couldn't be here today. He wants to be, believe me. He, for those out there, he has a stress fracture in his leg. So he's kind of holed up right now.
Okay.
But that was an interesting presentation, to say the least, and something I really had never heard a lot about until yesterday. So it was nice.
You hear about it in the cities, big cities. They have land banks because they have more of that happening for obvious reasons, much larger population and larger geographic territory. But that's the only place I've ever heard of them is on TV, literally in New York, L.A., Chicago.
And she explained it as an additional tool for development. But again, that's in the eye of the beholder on that one. So until we find out more, it's just a concept.
Okay. We're talking with Sean Cavanaugh and Lyman Sean with us from the Warren County Board. What was next on the agenda?
Well, Chip Algren presented about the current jail project. The site has been staked out, so if people drive by there, they'll see some sticks in the ground. They're doing some soil compaction studies. We're looking to have a groundbreaking in the spring, which should be thrilling. We hope you're there. And we will be, for darn sure. I'll tell you that. We'll be high-fiving everybody and throw a party. Maybe get Sean Stevens to do some barbecue for the big...
Well, if you can talk him into that, it would just be good to see progress being made there.
Yes, and it's good progress. The Chip and some other board members and sheriff traveled to a jail that's located in Dixon, Illinois, that was made by the same company contracted to do ours. And so they could look at our floor plan and kind of match it up to see how it appears. And there were, I guess, some minor tweaks made. The final floor plan, I believe, is complete. And it's just a matter of time. The ticking of the time to where they can stick a shovel in the ground. I think they've didn't he say they began some of the bidding on some of the project?
That they have the exact floor plan that you're talking about.
So that's exciting. This has been a process that was going in autopilot. Then COVID happened, and then nothing happened anywhere with anything. And then as COVID restrictions eased, we got back on the swing of things. Unfortunately, as a result of COVID, projects, well, everything costs more. Pencils, pens, eggs, jails, sandwiches, Yeah, that's just the reality of the situation. I think the board made very wise decisions collectively. I think everyone on the board should be very, very proud of the work that they did to make this a reality. This is probably the biggest building project that the county's ever had, aside, I guess, from the courthouse. But I think that was built for $80,000.
Yeah, money-wise, this kind of dwarfs it.
It does. And it's something desperately needed. The attendance in the jail is kind of up right now, and we still send certain inmates, the female population, to Galesburg. And I think that's $55 a day for each of those individuals that are being held there. But our jail capacity, according to the state, they mandated it to be, I think, 22. We can't have more than that. And so it makes it difficult if you've got a crowd and you've got to separate people from convicted, non-convicted, and so forth. Or someone may say that they want to harm themselves. We have to protect them by putting them in a particular cell so they are safe. Because they're in jail doesn't mean our obligations to protect them aren't in place. So we want to be able to protect them to make sure that they are safe under our care.
Okay.
So the jail is doing well, and I think Chip Algren's really done a good job for us.
For sure.
Keeping on things, and we owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude. And he's done it for his salary is very value oriented. It's zero. And he's glad to do it. And I think he's proud of the work he's done, and he darn well should be, because he's on top of things. We're very fortunate.
Speaking of the courthouse, you mentioned earlier, update on the courthouse. You got a bid in to complete the steps, I believe.
Yes, we have a bid, and we will be rebidding that. It came in rather high, at least what the majority of the board felt like. Unfortunately, we only had one bid, and there were, 4 companies that looked at it, John?
Four.
One bid, and, it was like $550,000, which,
It's a little
that
high.
took our breath away for a moment.
Yeah.
But then when you think about it, when we rebid in January or February, that company may or may not rebid, and then we'll be looking for some other bid that we're not aware of right now. And there was some discussion as to whether you accept the bid as is and we find the money, in which we could. It would just be drawing, your belt in and the purse strings in, and because when the bids come back, it may be that bid or something higher.
It was basically a roll of the dice.
Yes, it's a roll of the dice, and
Yeah, because now that bid's out there, so you don't know in the spring if you find a bid that comes in under that, because the bid's being rejected at the $550, or if everybody comes in around $550.
Well, that's probably
And what do you do?
If
where it's
everyone
gonna be.
comes in on that, then it'll be kind of a relief, I suppose, because then it's like, well, they weren't wrong. But
But we hope to find a company that can complete the project in a timely manner.
You got it.
It's been one of those projects. We've been involved in all kinds of projects of the time that we've been on the board, and not everything that everyone does always works as smoothly as they planned. This is one of those. It's a difficult project, and there were a lot of components to it. But the day we received the bid that we had, I got a call from the Bricklayers Union, and he asked if there was a bid, and I told him that we had one and what the price was. And this individual said that he didn't, he wasn't there to pass judgment on what the bid was. That's not why he called to say this is horrible, this is good, this is whatever. But he said with the second round of bidding, he would be involved in that to make sure that the people in his region receive the bid notice And so it'll go out to a wider group of people. We had some recommendations last time, and it's really hard to get a bid notice out because the Review Atlas is out once a week. I tried calling another local newspaper to the east of us, and I couldn't talk with anyone local. It was overseas, and it was just pretty incredible. And so thank you, Vanessa. You helped us out by putting the bid on your website, the bid notice, and so forth. So this next go-around, we'll have more tools at our disposal to get the word out, and hopefully that will come to a positive resolution.
Yeah, you can always do your due diligence of just getting it out to what news media is around, but you could also just have them literally find what companies do it in a 50-mile radius and just send it to them directly, too.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Because in this new world, you've almost got to advocate for yourself instead of waiting on people to come to you. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's why the gentleman from the Bricklayers Union said that he would help with that. So that way we would have qualified groups, organizations that can handle just that, because it's the home stretch. For those listening out there, we understand very much that when you drive by, you think, holy cow, it's not finished yet, what's going on? But like I said, we've been involved in a lot of projects over the years. Some work out far better than you imagined, and some, for whatever reason or another, take a little longer to get figured out and for things to settle. And this is one of those projects. But the county board is working very hard to resolve it. The county board, we're all wonderful people, if I may say so myself. We get along great. And our focus is on you, Vanessa, and other listeners, and the people of Warren County. Our intention is to do the best for them.
Okay. When is the next election? Because you have some seats, don't you?
Yes. The next election will be in 2026.
2026, okay.
On a positive note, we did see 2 board members yesterday. Steve Mahoney, who is returning to the board. He's probably been off for like 20 years.
I think that's what they said, yeah.
And he'll be returning to Road and Bridge, where he was a member before. And the other was Court Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
And is he he's also going to Road and Bridge? Or?
I think so.
I think so. So
yeah.
that leaves us 1 seat still to be filled, and we hopefully will be doing that in January.
Oh, okay. So you can appoint.
I'm sorry, February. We don't have a January full board meeting.
And with the extra time, it allows all interested parties to make their voices heard. And those that show the most interest typically are those that we feel would do a fantastic job, because if you really show the interest, that we understand that you really want to be part of it all.
Is that an appointment that'll be made by the board and Mr. Pearson?
It'll be done by Mr. Pearson with the consent and advice from the county board, and those individuals will serve in those positions until the next election, and then they would need to stand for election at that time, because that's really the best way to seat a county board member is through the election.
Yeah, the elections have to go out, get their petitions, get some signatures, do it the old-fashioned way. But
sure.
Sometimes people who are going to continue, things happen in their lives, they get busy, and they say, you know what, I'm going to step off the board and concentrate on some other things. And that's sometimes how vacancies are created, and we don't want to have to be waiting for the next election and so forth. So it was good conversation yesterday,
Okay.
Very good discussion. The board we always have pretty good discussion. And
right.
And sometimes things may get a little contentious, but that's really very rare. And when people, I don't want to say argue, because it's really not arguing. When people are bringing up one point against another, it's not because they're mad at somebody. It's because they want to make sure that all points are discussed. And I think Warren County Board does that very, very well. And those in Warren County should be very, very proud of them, the board. And we're one of the few counties, well, until the jail, to have zero debt And that is really, I think there might be one other in 102 counties. But that, of course, will, with the the jail being financed through bonds, but that'll be temporary because once the jail is paid for, that tax will go away.
Okay.
And all that jazz.
All right. Gentlemen, anything else? It is 8:33. We've got a packed morning show for folks this morning. Anything else you've got?
I think just the day-to-day boilerplate votes on certain things regarding Warren County public transportation were discussed. We had a report from offices. Jenna Link comes in. She always gives a very a good report. She's running a really good show over at the health department with her team. We're very, very fortunate to have her here and what she's been able to create with the health department. And again, she can't do it alone. She's got a great team. And we're, again, very fortunate to have every single one of them.
Yep, she'll be on the air again next week. We got a lot of respiratory stuff going around.
I know. I think I had it a couple weeks ago. I hated it.
Well, most people do hate being sick, Sean.
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you both. Have a very wonderful holiday.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having us on so we can get the word out to the people what we're doing. It's a very valuable service.
Of course. And again, this will be up on YouTube as well as our podcast page, and we'll have new stories to follow. It is 8:34. That is Lyman Sean. He is District 3 Finance Committee, Sean Cavanaugh Building and Grounds Chair from the Warren County